Good morning and welcome to Shattering Myths, the program devoted to the fastest growing and largest segment of society. To those of you who, like me, have come to realize that all of the world's religious, political, military, and media institutions are corrupt, that they have become counterproductive, and that they can't be fixed. Our phone number, which is toll-free, if you would like to join us anytime over the next 2 hours, is 877-300-7645. Normally in our program we begin with the news and conclude with a review of the Torah. Today we're going to invert that because we're expecting IQ al-Rassooli to call in from Europe during our second hour today to speak of the menace that has become Islam. We have Kirk with us, but before we introduce Kirk, I wanted to just read the sections on circumcision and on the covenant that were provided, that were giving us the basis of our discussion yesterday. This is from the 17th chapter of Bereshit, which has been misnamed Genesis. Bereshit means in the beginning. You know, if you were trying to find out what God was prioritizing, if you were trying to find out why he created us, I think I might turn to a book called In the Beginning. I hear Kirk laughing in the background. That seems like a reasonable thing to do. I know you're an artist, not someone who is schooled in all manner of logic and rhetoric, but as an artist, there is a beginning to the process, right?
I'm afraid, yes.
Yeah. So you'd probably turn to the first step too.
I might do that. That's a good start.
It's like he gave you a table of contents.
Yeah, it's like he gave you a table of contents. He actually did. He called that the Torah, and it has the Torah has 5 books to it, 6 if you count Yahowah. So it has a book that's called In the Beginning. It has a book called Names, because it's really important to know who you're going to be forming a relationship with. So it has a book called Names that has the pathway to the individual named Yahowah, followed by a book called Torah, which is Invitations to Meet. So now after you find out why we were created and what God is desiring and offering, and you get to know him by name and come to know the names of those things he cares about, then he has provided an invitation for us to meet with him. That's followed by a book called In the Wilderness and Bamidbar, which is a book on what the alternative is. If you don't want to be with him, he wants you to know that there is an alternative. It's Midbar happens to be without the word. If you were to translate Midbar, which is conveyed as wilderness from the Hebrew to the English, the actual basis of the word itself, its etymology means without the word. So that's the alternative, and then that brings you to the culmination of Yahowah's introduction to us, which is the antithesis of without the word. It is Dabarim, which is words. Speaking of Yahowah's word, because that's your other alternative, and it provides us with a summary of everything that Yahowah had to say, but from man's perspective as opposed to God's perspective. You know, there's 2 perspectives on everything, and particularly in a relationship. There's Yahowah's perspective on what he created, why he created, what he is offering, what he expects, what he's inviting us to participate in. So there's Yahowah's perspective, which he shares with us. That's really important to know. But there's also our perspective, the proper perspective, to come to know who he is, understand what he's offering, and participate. And so Devarim is Moshe representing the most important aspects of the Torah from our perspective. And lastly, should you be among those who wish to include, and I happen to be among them, the next book, which is called Yahusha, which means Yahweh saves, into the collection of the Torah, then you would have a book telling us specifically how Yahweh saves. That's a rather straightforward table of contents, if you will, to what's important to God. And it's followed, of course, by the writings and by the prophets, all of which comprise Torah, which is God's teaching. So what I wanted to do was just begin with Bereshith, the 17th chapter. We're going to begin with the 9th statement in that chapter, and just go through what God is laying out for us, because in the beginning He tells us why He created and how we can engage in a relationship with Him. He says, "And God Almighty, Elohim, said," promised, "to Abraham," Abraham means loving and enriching, merciful Father, "so as for you, regarding you, you should actually and continuously shamar, observe my covenant, my berete, my family-oriented relationship agreement. You and your seed after you, throughout their generations, dwelling places, and eras of time." So, Kirk, do you care what Yahowah thinks we ought to do? Are you interested in knowing what he thinks we ought to do?
Absolutely.
So that's important to you, to know what God thinks is good for us to do.
If you care about what He cares about, He'll care about you.
Well, that's true. So all of these people that claim to be in all of these crazy religions, Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, the religion of man, socialist, humanism, they claim to want to know the purpose of life. Correct?
Right, absolutely.
Yeah. So here's the actual creator of the universe, an individual who proved that he created the universe both by the accuracy scientifically of his creation account and by the accuracy of his prophecies. The fact that he's never gotten one wrong, and every one is very specific, and he's got 100% of them right. So he's proved without any doubt that he is God. This God, Yahowah, is saying to us that the thing that I would strongly suggest, I'm going to lay out what I think is in your best interest. And so what did he say was in our best interest? What was God's advice to us?
To shamar His word.
Yeah, particularly shamar His bereth.
Bereth, His covenant, family covenant. Yeah.
Right. This was specifically, he's encouraging us, asking us, inviting us, instructing us, directing us, guiding us to observe His covenant. All right, so to observe, how does one observe?
You look with your eyes, you read it, you study it, you carefully consider it, you mull it over if you would, and just everywhere you can possibly understand, you try to understand it, and then you respond accordingly.
Yeah. Is there a Hebrew letter that conveys the concept of looking with your eyes, listening with your ears, contemplating with your brain, and then responding with your mouth? Is there a letter that conveys all of those concepts?
Well, I'm pretty sure we're talking about Rosh, which is the head.
It's a picture of a human head, right? That shows eyes, ears, a mouth, and a brain. Head. Okay. Do we find that letter in Shamar?
Right in the middle of it.
It's actually at the end of it, but there's only 3 letters in Shamar, right?
Hashem,
Hashem. Yeah, Hashem speaks of the spoken word, nourishing words.
Nourishing words.
And the M, the Ma in Hebrew,
means life. If you will, very simply, it's just life.
Yeah, it's
giving life, cleansing, water.
Right. Yeah. From water comes life, and water is the ultimate solvent. So it is the medium for cleansing. So this is words which cleanse and provide life to those who are observant, using their eyes to witness, their ears to listen, their brains to process and understand what they are coming to observe, so that they can respond appropriately. That is the word shamar. So that's his advice, was for us to shamar, to be observant regarding what? Butterflies? Regarding the spotted owl. You know, in California, we don't, and I'm no longer in California, but we didn't get water to keep our landscape alive because there was a smelt in the San Francisco Bay. Did he tell us to observe the smelt?
He said, gosh, whatever you do, protect that smelt.
Smelt.
You know, they did the same thing with the dam. They were going to build another dam a couple years ago, spent all the money, were all set to go, and they found another little fish on the American River, so they couldn't dam. Otherwise, we would have another giant dam up here.
Well, okay, well. So I think he was specific. I mean, I've read this. He said that you should observe, which is to closely examine and carefully consider his bereth.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what's a bereth?
Bereth is your family-oriented covenant. It's an agreement between he and you.
How do you know that?
Well, it's you could either look at the words, or you could look up you could look them up in a dictionary and tell you exactly what the word means. Or
okay, what is the closest word to bereth, and how does bereth differ from the word that shares the name with the second letter of the Hebrew alphabet?
Well, you have the bet, the family. I mean, you have the family home.
Mm-hmm.
So the difference is you have a person in it now with a rosh.
Yeah, that's right. You got a person in it, and you have an observant person in it. Matter of fact,
person in it. Yeah.
Yeah. The only difference between Be'ath and Bereth is you have an observant person in the home.
Mm-hmm.
When Yahowah uses his favorite title, which is not Almighty, it's not El, which is the Aleph followed by the Lamed, which is the ram, the male sheep that is able to also work in the role of shepherd. So the sacrificial lamb, who is also the leader, the shepherd that protects the other sheep, that's the Hebrew word for God. But the Hebrew word for head of a family in Hebrew is father, right?
Mm-hmm.
How is father spelled in Hebrew?
The first two letters with an aleph and a bet.
Yeah, same letter that begins family, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Same letter that begins Bereth, covenant. You think maybe there's a connection there?
I think there's an extreme connection there.
All right, so we're going to find out what Bereth means so we know precisely what Yahowah wants us to observe. The creator of the universe, in a book where he proves that he is the creator of the universe, said, "And Almighty God said to Abraham," a name that means loving, merciful, and enriching father, "So as for you," this would be wa et ata, "you should actually and continuously observe." Shamar, carefully consider, diligently and consistently pay especially close attention to the details so that you come to understand, genuinely care about, revere, and literally keep your eyes focused upon my Bereth, which is Bereth with a Y after it, that says that this thing called the Bereth belongs to God himself. Doesn't belong to us. Doesn't belong to Israel. Doesn't belong to the Jews. Doesn't belong to the Old Testament. Belongs to Almighty God. Bereth, my. This is being spoken in first person. This is directly from the mouth of God himself. So he wants us to actually and continuously observe. This was Shamar, written in the call imperfect. The imperfect means ongoing. The call means literally. And I've defined this as my family-oriented covenant relationship. But that's really a bit of an extrapolation, because the letters themselves and the name itself really only conveys my observant family.
Yeah,
because doesn't Be'ath, the basis of Bereth, which is minus the Rosh, isn't that family and home?
Family home. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's then figure out how we get from, once we've established Be'ath as family home, how we get to Bereth with the R. First, Be'ath begins with the letter conveniently and appropriately named Be'ath. So Be'ath is the word and the name of the second letter in the Hebrew alphabet.
Right. and that's the tent, the family home, and the shelter, and bird's eye view. You know, instead of looking down on it as a plan, like a family plan. You know.
Now, I thought that religions were like a wheel where all the spokes led to God. When God is depicting His family, is He depicting it round as a wheel?
No, that's the antithesis. It's just it's more square. It's a square structure.
It is square, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is absolutely square.
Mm-hmm.
But on the top, there is an opening that is the door.
Right. One way.
Yeah. By the way, there's not a lot of doors that open at the top, do they?
No.
No, but this door does.
Significant too, yes.
Yeah, significant as well. So that's the Hebrew word for family and home, and so this is Bayeth, means family and home. But there's two other letters in Bayeth, are there not?
Oh yeah, there's the Rosh, and then the and the Bet. There's
the Yod. There's the Yod.
The T.
Whose home is it, and how do you get into it?
Well, we think about that as that's Him reaching down, helping us get in to raise us up.
Right.
That's the Yod.
Yeah, the Yod is a picture of a hand. It conveys hand. It conveys ability. It conveys capability. Having the power and ability to do whatever needs to be done. The hand is a do concept.
Right.
In Hebrew, it means that it's when the hand is spoken of metaphorically in Hebrew, it's a symbol for your activities, those things that you do, and the hand suggests that you have the ability to accomplish whatever you seek to do. But the feet in Hebrew is about movement, about going in a purposeful direction. The hand is about doing things, your activities, which you're busy doing, and in Hebrew the eyes are about perceiving, understanding, observing. So it's a very graphic language with each of those concepts firmly established. So this hand is about God's business.
Mm-hmm.
So this is central to what He does, what He's engaged in.
Right.
And so in this family, it begins with the same letter that Yahweh's name begins with, that designates a father's hand, because Ab is father.
Mm-hmm.
A father's hand reaching down and out to the children in his family.
Right.
So those are the first two letters.
Yeah, you can't even misinterpret this.
No. How about the last letter?
Yeah, the T, the tall, which is the signature, the upright pole. It's put His mark on it. It's a doorway, a sign.
Yeah, all of those things.
Yeah,
So this is not an anonymous house. The address of this house is signed Yahowah.
Yeah, exactly.
It has His name on it, has His signature on it, has His mark on it.
Right. Very good.
Welcome back to Shattering Myths. So, Kirk, if I am following along here, Yahowah told us to observe His words that are life-giving and cleansing, to observe, to closely examine and carefully consider those words specific to His Berith. And so far, you have defined Bayeth, upon which it is based, which is family and home by the letters, family, home, followed by the hand of the father reaching down and out to his children, and not any old home. This one has an address.
Yeah,
this one has a logo, a name on the front of it.
Yeah, I like that. I really like that.
Yeah, and the name that's written on the front of this home, right above the door, is Yahowah. Everyone in that home bears that as their name.
Their name. Very good.
All right. So that's the family, but he didn't tell us to observe the Bayeth, did he?
No.
He told us to observe the Berith. So is there any way that Bayeth and Berith are different? What distinguishes a Berith over a Bayeth family and home?
Well, the person who is observing is in there. That's
right. That's it.
Oh, okay.
There's nothing more to it than that. The only difference is an observing person.
Mm-hmm.
This is a family for individuals who use their eyes to witness and to read in particular, their ears to listen to Yahweh's testimony when recited, and their brains to process this, to make connections so they understand, and their mouths to respond.
Yeah.
So it is an observant family. Now, when I say observant family, there's this unfortunate connotation with people who are not scientific by nature. Because if I tell them a scientist to observe, it's right in their alley. That's what they do when they do experiments. But if we just use the term observe related to Yahowah, God, most people jump to the concept of observe. Yeah, means to obey or to keep, as in to keep the law. But there is the only keep word that can be possibly associated with observe is to keep focused. To keep your eyes open. Yeah, to keep your eyes open. So it's kind of the imperfect, ongoing aspect of opening your eyes so that you can observe, so that you can read, so that you can witness what is being set before us.
Now, as simple as that, what you've covered this morning, when someone says that should be a red flag, I mean, when you say you can't, someone will say you can't understand that, so you have to be interpreted by us, like rabbis, preachers, and priests, and so forth. Or if you...
is your IQ above 175? Which is about the highest. That's about the highest that they can actually measure. Really, is about 175. Is your IQ above 175?
No, not close.
Okay. Go ahead, Scott. Is yours about 175?
Oh, definitely not.
Okay. Was any part of this difficult for you to understand?
No. But there's days where I wonder if I'm above 70.
Well, okay. There's days I've acted like I was below 70.
Yeah. So that might be what I meant. I can actually. This kind of ties into what I was talking to you during the break about. In order to understand, there's certain things that you have to know before you can understand. And the table of contents comment I made actually got me thinking about this. What is Yahweh's favorite number?
7.
7.
Kirk, I got you first, but yeah, 7.
I'm sorry.
He only has one favorite number. So.
Okay. And how many question words are there?
You're talking about words where a single word is considered to be a sentence in English.
Yep.
Like who is a sentence in English.
Yep.
How is a sentence in English.
Yep.
Which is a sentence in English. When is a sentence in English. So there's 7 words that you're saying are designated by themselves to be question words.
Yeah, there's 7.
Okay.
7.
Before you go any further, why is a question important? When you ask a question, I'll put it a different way. I'm going to lead the witness here. When you ask a question, what are you seeking?
An answer.
That's it. Information.
All right. So you're seeking an answer. Where's the ultimate book of answers?
Torah.
The Torah. Yeah.
All right. So if you question God, ask questions in the Torah. If you're seeking answers, the book you should go to with your questions is the Torah.
Now let me ask you. I'll ask you these questions here, and I'll give you the definition of what the explanation of the question is.
Okay.
And you guys answer this for me.
Kind of what answer the question is seeking.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. So who? The explanation is person.
Oh, well, I'll answer that one. It's actually a more complicated answer than simply Yahweh. He said that this observant family belonged to him, so the who is immediately Yahweh. He said that he put his signature on this home, so the who is obviously Yahweh.
I would say
but
it's also me.
There you go.
It's also me.
Absolutely. It is also you. It's also me. It's every one of us as a me. We're the observant person in that family. And a relationship is two people. So it is always the person here that is being sought by the answer, who, is Yahowah and me, no matter whom you might be.
Yep. So next question is where? Its explanation is position, place.
Kirk, you want to take the where?
Well, it finds him in the middle of, I'm not sure where to go with this.
Okay, I'll take a whack at it and you jump in. Okay. Where do you find the answers? Where do you find the information regarding this family of observant people? Where would you go to observe this family? Where?
Well, everything is the Torah.
Yeah, the Torah is the introduction to who he is. It's the invitation to participate in this family. The where is the Torah. And if you were to go add another where, it would be Yahowah's family. The where is in his family, as opposed to in the institutions that man has created. The where is his family.
And you could even go a step further. The where could also be, I mean, we're on Earth. This pertains to Earth.
Yeah, I would say we found he found us in the wilderness, without Torah, and then
right. That's where he found us. Now, I would also say, where is the seventh dimension? It's where Yahowah is. The where is where he is, the spiritual realm of the seventh dimension that he is inviting us to enter and preparing us to enter. It's also the where. But I think the most direct and the most important where is the Torah. But I would give you another, and we give you one other where, if I may. I think there's another where here, and that where is Yisrael, and very specifically the heart of Yisrael, which is Yahudah, and the heart of Yahudah, which is Jerusalem, and the heart of Jerusalem, which is Mount Moriah. So why don't you tell our listeners, Kirk, what does Moriah mean?
Moriah is that's
Revere Yah.
Yeah, Revere. I'm sorry. Yeah.
What does Jerusalem mean?
Well, that's where it flows. That's where source of that shalom, salvation flows.
Yeah. Yes, the source from which teaching, instruction, guidance, and direction regarding reconciliation flows. Jerusalem is based on the same verb that Torah is based on, Yara. And so it combines Yara and Shalom, which is reconciliation, restoration. So the where is Mount Moriah, the things that took place there, the fulfillment, the enactment of the covenant that took place there between Yahowah, Yosha, Abraham, and Yishak. It's Mount Moriah where Pesach was fulfilled. It's Mount Moriah where Bekurim was fulfilled, where Yahowah's home on earth is, his temple. It's in Jerusalem where all of the other Moed Mikre were fulfilled and where he shall return.
And there's any book anywhere where you can find this out that's not the Torah?
No.
Not really. Not really.
No. No, the Torah prophets are the only place you would find the who and the where. Yahowah introduces himself by name in the Torah and only in the Torah, and he describes the promised land, the land that he is leading us to, which was the land that he led Abraham to, the land that he led the children of Yisrael to.
I would also argue that the next question is also only found in one spot. Next question is when, time, occasion, moment.
Well, there's a lot of significant times when he from the beginning to the end. So
right. Wouldn't you start with the when of creation? And realize that the when of creation proves that the Torah's witness is accurate, because it is that 6 24-hour Earth days from the witness of at creation, the Creator, is exactly 14.7 billion years of us looking back relative to the movement of time here on Earth.
And this all, everything you're saying right now also ties into the very next question, which is.
Well, there's more to win.
Oh yeah.
Oh, there's a lot more to win.
More to win, but
for example, there's the win of his 6 + 1 plan of 7.
Yeah. Yeah.
And of each of the things he did during creation, of the definition of the Shabbat, and there are 7 steps to him, 6 steps that lead to camping out with him, which is the 7th.
Yeah.
And the covenant was enacted 40 Yobel, 2,000 years after Adam and Yahowah were booted out of the garden, to give us a means to come back to that garden. And then 2,000 years after Abraham and Yitzhak and Yahowah and Yosha affirmed the covenant, they fulfilled the means for us to be part of it with the enactment of Pesach, Matzah, Bakudim, and Shavuah in Jerusalem, exactly 40 Yobel later. And guess who's going to return 40 Yobel after the 33 CE fulfillment of the first 4 Moed Mikra to fulfill the last 2?
Yahowah.
Yeah. There's a win. You want to know the win? I'll give you the win. That's the win. Welcome back to Shattering Myths. So we've considered the who, Yahowah, it's me, Yahowah, you. We've considered the where, which is the Torah. Have we not? We've discovered the when, which is Yahowah's timeline, and all of these important steps along that way. I would say also when is right now. If you don't know Yahowah, get to know him right now. You may not have a tomorrow, but you will have a forever of tomorrows if you prioritize getting to know him and coming to understand what he has to offer. Scott, that's not the end of our questions.
This next question is probably, I think it's the most important question, and it's probably one of the very first questions that you learn as a human is why. And the why is the reason, the explanation.
Right. I think it's one of the first questions, by the way, that a child will ask of their parents. You said,
definitely.
When you say, I want you to do this, or I don't want you to do that.
Don't touch that. Why?
Why? Please get up and get dressed. Why? So why is the most fundamental
even
human
further,
question. Why?
You could, that's a rainbow. Why? Oh, that's a bird. Why?
Yeah. So why? There's 2 important perspectives here. Why did God create the universe, conceive life, and develop his covenant? Why?
Family.
Yeah. What's in it for him?
Love of family.
Right. Can you imagine how boring eternity would be if you didn't have someone to share it with?
It'd probably be.
I can figure that, yeah.
Can you imagine how meaningless life would be without family?
Well, think of how lonely we as people get when it's just us by ourselves.
Right. How many times, Scott, have you seen something that was really beautiful? A beautiful sunset, beautiful rainbow, beautiful waterfall, something beautiful in nature. And you were there by yourself, and the person and the people you cared the most about weren't there with you and could not share in that moment.
I wish so-and-so was here to see this.
Yeah.
This is amazing. I wish, man, this would be great.
Have you ever achieved anything in your life, Scott, and had no one there that could share that moment with you?
Thankfully, no.
Holding one the other day, right?
Yeah. Can you imagine, though, Yahowah having created life, having created this universe, and how empty it would all be if he didn't have anyone to share it with?
No, what would be the point of creating?
Right. God, the why for God is that this is the only thing that can cause God to grow, that can bring him satisfaction and pleasure, is to share all that he has and all that he has done and will do with his children. That's the why Yahowah created a covenant. And it's why that family is observant, because it's only fun to share it with people who are interested in paying attention to what he has done and is doing.
That's right.
He enjoys watching us grow, watching us become. It's the same thing that I enjoy about watching Neil. I like watching Neil become a better person and seeing him put things together that he wasn't before. I can only assume that, you know, for God, it's that much better watching us.
Absolutely. And now, why, from our perspective, Kirk, should we be interested in any of this?
Because we're made in His image, number one, so we immediately have the same needs and desires that He would have. He put that in us.
Right.
And if we want to continue, and who wouldn't? I mean, if you really think about it, who would not?
Yeah, why wouldn't you?
Why would you not? Yeah, I mean, don't be ridiculous.
Would you like to inherit everything that the Creator of the universe has conceived? Would you like to be part of His family? Would you like to be made perfect? Would you like to be empowered and enriched?
Just to play in His playground would be good. I mean,
yeah. Would you like to spend time with Him?
Absolutely. Source of everything?
Right. So all of those things are the reason. That's the answer to the why. So now we move on to the next question.
The next question is what? Its explanation is specific thing or object.
So what is God focused on? What did this particular statement tell us the what is?
This covenant family.
His family, the observant family. So that's the what. And my guess is you probably have a choice word that follows, would be which.
Which? Yep. Choice or alternative.
And everything was presented under the auspices of free will, where we have the opportunity to make a choice. God wants us to observe the information that He has provided, so we can make a wise choice.
Which would be the how.